Live from the News Center, this is 7 on your side at 11.
You may have been in some rain tonight.
So how much more could be out there? Here's 24/7 Chief Meteorologist Christy Henderson. Christy.
All right, Tom, we have our second round of heavy rain that's affecting parts of the upstate right now, and I think it's going to be a break. And then into early tomorrow morning, we may see another round of some showers. As you can see, we're looking at widespread rain across the upstate, northeast Georgia, also across our mountains and foothill zones tonight. But the heaviest action is in the upstate, more specifically into the Greenville zone, down into the Greenwood zone, where we have very heavy rain coming down over Abbeville. That's moving eastward towards Lawrence. We also have some heavier rain near Pickens and Easley. That's headed over closer to Greenville and then into Spartanburg County. Lots of light rain that could get heavier a little later on tonight. So we'll talk more about what's out there now and what you can expect for the rest of the week coming up in a few minutes.
Christy, thank you. The man accused of shooting a USC student will spend 40 years in prison.
Tonight in Columbia, a jury found Michael Smith guilty of attempted murder and 5 other charges. Smith was convicted of firing the shot that paralyzed Martha Childress of Greenville. It happened in the 5 Points area of Columbia in October 2013. Smith testified today that he regretted some of the things he said about Childress during a phone call while in jail, but that wasn't enough to sway the jury. The mothers of the victim and the accused shooter both spoke before Smith's sentencing.
I'm not going to let him win. I'm not going to be his victim. And from that point forward, Martha came back.
I'm so proud of her because she didn't get to stop her. She kept going to school. I wish my sons could have did what she's doing, and she's doing this little chair.
Michael Smith was already serving a 10-year prison sentence after pleading guilty to a federal weapons charge. A family representative told us Martha Childress looks forward to moving on with her life.
Tonight, the man accused of killing a local convenience store clerk is back in Anderson County and behind bars. Justin Warner was extradited from Atlanta. Warner's accused of robbing and shooting Radulabin Patel back in April at a gas station in Powdersville. Through the tips, police arrested Warner in Atlanta back in May.
Sad news tonight for family and friends of a Legacy Charter High School student. The 16-year-old died tonight during his first soccer team practice of the season. The Greenville County coroner says Titus Martin Jr. collapsed suddenly on the field. Coaches and school administrators gave Martin medical attention, then he was rushed to the hospital and he died there. The cause of death is unknown at this time. The coroner says an autopsy is scheduled tomorrow.
One of your state lawmakers is taking a strong stand for gun control. He's introducing multi-layer legislation that would make it harder to buy guns in South Carolina. Charleston Senator Marlon Kempson tells 7 on Your Side's Addie Hampton June's church massacre in his hometown exposed a need to curb gun violence here at home. But Addie reports some say this legislation is not needed and faces an uphill battle.
At the Sharpshooters gun range in Greenville, the right to bear arms isn't just part of the Constitution. It's a way of life. That doesn't mean that just anybody can buy and take home their merchandise.
We put in checks and balances all the time.
J.R. Frazier is the purchasing manager handling the federal background check requirements and all the paperwork involved.
Legally by federal law, at the end of 3 working business days, not counting the day that it is submitted, the person can pick that firearm up. However, we do not adhere to that. We wait till the background comes back, whether it's a day, 3 days, or 30 days.
It's part of their strict policy to ensure that guns don't fall into the wrong hands. But State Senator Marlon Kempson wants more.
People who use legal means still can commit a crime.
Talking via phone, the Charleston-based lawmaker says it's not just about the federal background check process. He's authored 5 bills aimed at banning assault weapons, implementing a state registration and permitting system to track ownership, requiring lost or stolen gun reporting, having both state and federal checks, and sealing that loophole that lets gun buyers pick up guns before those background checks are returned.
I think it's incumbent upon the General Assembly to act swiftly.
Kempson said June's shooting tragedy inside Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston is enough to change the hearts and minds on an issue that many call an uphill battle.
It was always an uphill battle to remove the Confederate flag. It was an uphill battle to enact the body camera legislation.
For Sharpshooters Frazier, he says more rules aren't necessary. It's about making sure the ones already in place are followed.
The only thing you can do is be as vigilant as possible and make sure that everything within our power is done to make sure a mistake is not made.
In Greenville, Addie Hampton, 7 on your side.
Kimpson sent a letter to Senator Larry Martin, who chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee overseeing gun legislation. Kimpson intends to introduce the bill in December. We talked to Senator Martin. He said he's unsure if he will send it to committee. He calls the unpopular legislation, quote, a non-starter. 2 people face charges in connection with a murder at an upstate gas station. It happened over the weekend. Lawrence County deputies say Marvin Watson killed David Anderson just before 5 on Sunday when he pumped with gas at the Corner Mart in Clinton. They say that he took off with Ziryakia Copeland. Deputies later tracked down and arrested both Watson and Copeland hours after the shooting. Investigators say they don't think either Watson or Copeland knew the victim, so they're really not sure about a motive here. People around this area say they're very nervous about this.
It's kind of a shocker, you know.
It's just an innocent, an innocent man just getting gas, just like it could be me. I'm here pumping gas, like they say, you're here today and you're gone tomorrow.
Watson faces a murder charge. Copeland is charged with being accessory after the fact of felony murder.
More people spoke out tonight against Duke Energy's proposal to build 40 miles of power transmission lines. Those lines would go through northern Spartanburg County. Upset speakers told Spartanburg County Council the lines could disrupt the shape and use of the land. They say they're not benefiting from lines to bring power to people in North Carolina. Neighbors are saying Duke hasn't published needs analysis reports or answered their questions. County Council passed a resolution tonight encouraging Duke to use a route that impacts the fewest people and use existing routes outside Spartanburg County. Some neighbors want even more action.
I wish it was stronger. I wish they would have used the word oppose. And I think they're just being politically correct. And I think that this is the time when political correctness is not what we want. We want to have some honesty.
The South Carolina Public Service Commission will hold a meeting August 27th in Landrum for residents to voice their concerns over the Duke project. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. It'll be at Landrum High School. South Carolina has one of the highest rates of domestic violence in the nation. Now lawyers for one victim say the state's newest domestic violence law is unconstitutional. 7 on your side's Robert Kittle explains why they're asking the state Supreme Court to take action.
Governor Nikki Haley signed the tougher domestic violence bill on June 4th. She and supporters say it will better protect victims and prevent some abuse by giving tougher penalties to repeat offenders and even some first-time offenders, depending on how serious the abuse was. But attorney and former House member Bakari Sellers and his law partners say part of the old and new laws is unconstitutional. Their client is a woman who was engaged to another woman.
My client is in fear. She was the victim of domestic violence on not one but 2 occasions at the hand of her ex-fiance.
The woman tried to get an order of protection from a Richland County family court judge, but the judge denied her request. That's because of the way the law is worded. It provides protection for household members and defines that as a spouse, former spouse, persons who have a child in common, or a male and female who live together or used to live together. That means the law does not cover same-sex couples who are not married. They've filed a petition asking the state Supreme Court to rule that those words, male and female, are unconstitutional.
I don't know how they would see that it's not unconstitutional. We allege that it's both a due process violation and an equal protection violation.
He says if the state Supreme Court does not take the case or doesn't give that protection to same-sex unmarried couples,
there'll be people who are out here victimizing their partners and getting away with it without having to face the wrath of domestic abuse charges.
In Columbia, Robert Kittle, 7 on your side.
Sellers says if the Supreme Court does take the case and rules the law is unconstitutional, that would not throw out the entire law. The court could rule that only having the words male and female is unconstitutional and take out those words so it would apply to everyone.
Turning to campaign 2016 tonight, Ohio Governor John Kasich officially filed today to appear on the South Carolina Republican presidential primary ballot. He signed his paperwork in Columbia and then took a few minutes to discuss how he would handle ISIS and immigration.
First and foremost, need to finish the wall and then make it clear that anybody, once that wall's done, that anybody who comes in illegally is going to have to be sent back. I mean, that was one of the things I think that was a mistake when Reagan did his program in '86.
Kasich went on to say those who violate the wall will either be deported or imprisoned. After signing the paperwork, he campaigned in Myrtle Beach. Jeb Bush also spent time in South Carolina today meeting with veterans in Charleston and Columbia. He spoke at a town hall meeting about veterans issues. Bush unveiled the policy that he would put in place to help veterans get the help that they need.
More Republican presidential candidates are coming to the upstate next week. Scott Walker, Ted Cruz, and Ben Carson are all scheduled to attend the 5th annual Faith and Freedom Barbecue in Anderson. It's happening August 24th. Doors open at 6 p.m. The event starts at 6:45. It's open to the public. Now remember, throughout campaign 2016, we're taking the questions you want answered straight to the candidates. Email your questions to voter@WSPA.com or post them to our Facebook page.
Some Spartanburg County students are probably resting a little bit before their second day of school tomorrow. We have Air 7 video of the children going back to their first day. And tomorrow, it's Greenville County's turn. All the kids across the county all going to class tomorrow. The Greenville County Sheriff's Traffic Unit is taking precautions, making sure you and the children are safe. Tomorrow, when you drop off your child, you may find more deputies patrolling school zones out looking for speeders. Deputies remind you to stop for a school bus with activated flashing lights when you're on a 2-lane highway traveling either direction, or if you're on a multi-lane highway traveling behind the bus. Next at 11, the family of the Boston Marathon bombing victims may have thought that they could begin the healing process now that the accused bomber has been sentenced to death, but his attorney's not giving up. We'll tell you what they're pushing for now.
And your personal information could be in the hands of thieves. Coming up, why the IRS data breach is worse than originally thought.
And we're tracking quite a bit of rain across the area tonight, but how much is on the way for tomorrow? We'll take a look at the 5-zone forecast coming up.